Now call to order this regular session, Mayor and City Council meeting at 6 p.m. Wednesday, March 7th, here at the City Hall Complex. Will you please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Councilman Maldonado, would you lead us in the pledge?
Sure will. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Oh, let's see. Did the Reverend show up today? No? I guess you all may be seated. Thank you. Okay. See, we have a few calls to the public, and we'll start with Ms. Linda Rushton, and you'll take the podium. State your name and address, please, Linda.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name's Linda Rushton. I live at 269 West Loma Street here in Nogales. And I would like to talk today about the city trolley. And I think I grabbed the wrong sheet of paper. Nope, here we are. I view the city trolley as a major component to rehabbing downtown area and Morley Avenue in particular. As founder and co-chair of the Morley Avenue group, I think it's time that we started taking the bull by the horns and being very proactive. Nogales, Arizona is one of the most important cities in Arizona, and it is time we started acting like it. And doing historic tours downtown is a good way to start. The plan is to have high school students in period costume act as tour guides. We will make sure they are well trained to tell the story of Nogales, as well as show photos of how Nogales used to look. They will talk about the architecture, Camp Stephen Little, the courthouse, the railroad, and the P. Maria Alta Historical Society building. This way the kids will have something to do on the weekends and will learn about their hometown. With the improvements to Karam Park that are being done, that it will thoroughly affect the Morley Avenue area and a historic district or area downtown. Morley Avenue can become a showplace. Over the last 3 years, I have taught classes in Green Valley for OLLI. It's Osher Lifelong Learning Institute through the University of Arizona. People want to tour Nogales, Arizona, and we want them here. I can assure you that once people visit Nogales, they will find it a charming place to visit. So here's the plan. We are asking for financial commitments, or we have asked for financial commitments from as many people as possible. For a $500 donation, the donor will have his name or company name painted on the back of the trolley. Donated by. For $1,000, their logo will be included as part of the artwork to be painted on the side of the trolley by Rob White, an artist in Rio Rico who is very familiar with painting on metal and has done vehicles in the past. Rob has volunteered his talents to paint these historic scenes on both sides of the trolley, as well as Nogales historic tours. The only thing that Rob is asking for is that we pay for the paint. Now, we have been advised that by putting all the funds in the Santa Cruz Nature and Heritage Festival, which is a nonprofit, the donations are tax deductible. There will be a specific account called Santa Cruz Nature and Heritage Festival-Trolley, which a bank account will be opened and there will only be 3 checks on that account. A check to put the trolley into Jesse Rojas's body shop to get it started, 1 to pull it out to pay for final cost, and 1 for the paint. Now, getting this trolley fixed and looking good, it will be available to Little League, to shuttle people all around the city. It will be available to take tours all the way downtown. When the new Children's Museum comes in, we will be able to shuttle people up to the Children's Museum. This is the start of something new for downtown. To date, if everybody comes through on their pledges, I have, and the people who have contributed, have donated $8,250. Once we take the trolley over to Jesse Rojas, which hopefully will be either this week or the first of next week, he will get started. I want this trolley done for the 4th of July parade. And so all the donors can be in the trolley, and you'll see this spiffy new trolley in the parade. It's really going to be maybe the spur, the cattle prod that we need to get downtown going. We will have all the donors in the trolley for the parade, and it will run like Saturday and Sunday. I'm sure there's enough CDL employees with CDLs that we can get them to earn a little bit more money and to drive the trolley on a 10 o'clock run, a noon, and a 2 o'clock run. This is just an FYI for you guys. If you would like to contribute to the cause, I would love to have you do that. This is just a sample of what Rob White is thinking about putting on. And then we have photos. Oh. So we have photos of historic downtown, which I'll circulate here. And I have about 50 of these photos. And and Rob will decide which one will fit best on that. But one side will be the Grand Avenue area, the courthouse, the train, and the other side will be some of these historic photos. It's pretty neat. So, this is the mission, guys. And we all need to get in on this, and if anybody, not only council, but if anybody would like to contribute to the cause, I'm sitting right over there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Linda. I guess our next speaker would call to the public is Vicki Barton. Will you please come to the podium, state your name and address, please.
My name is Vicki Barton, and I'm representing the Boys and Girls Club. The address is 590 North Tyler Avenue in Nogales. I've sent you all a letter, pictures, and quotes to fix the roof on the Boys and Girls Club. On February 15th, I had to close the Boys and Girls Club. It's the first time I've ever had to do that because it was raining as much inside as it was outside. The problem with the roof is in the old armory portion of the building, and it just poured in there when it rained those days. We need help to get the roof repaired. I also sent you estimates. I sent you 3 estimates. Since then, I've gotten one more. At a high figure, it's going to cost about $30,000 to fix the roof. For the Boys and Girls Club, for $30,000, that's 2 part-time staff for us. That's 75% of our program supplies budget, which is food and milk and pens and paper, balls, toilet paper, all those things that we really, really need. $30,000 is a lot of money for us, and we need help. The building belongs to the city. It is owned by the city, and we lease it for $1,200 a year. We have maintained the building for the last 25 years. We've never asked for the city to help us. We constructed a gymnasium on the building that's worth $750,000. You know, we made a lot of improvements to the club. I know that you're all supporters of the Boys and Girls Club, so I'm not going to give you a big commercial about what we do. Some of your kids have been there. You know what we do and how important we are to this community. One of the things that I'm really proud of, I'm proud of my board of directors for this, is that we are one of the few clubs that are left that only charge $10 a year. We don't charge monthly fees. We don't charge program fees. Many, many other clubs do. We're, in fact, the only one in Arizona that does not. So our community has a lot to be proud of. We don't get money from the government. We don't get money from Boys and Girls Clubs of America. We get all of our money here locally. And these are your constituents. They need you to step up and help us get this roof fixed. Our kids deserve a safe and healthy place so that they can do their homework, use computers, play sports, and have a place just to be. My goal here today is not to get a commitment, but to find out who I can talk to so that we can move forward. I don't know how you can help, but I know that you can help, you as individuals and as the city of Nogales. So I'm hoping that I can find out who I can talk to so that we can start moving forward and we can get it fixed before monsoon season and there's even more kids in the club. Lastly, I just want to remind everyone here that it's not too late to do your Arizona tax credit. The Arizona tax credit for qualifying charitable organizations is $400 for an individual, $800 for a married couple. We have several organizations in Santa Cruz County that qualify for it. One is the Boys and Girls Club, Community Homes of Patagonia, Constructing Circles of Peace, Crossroads Nogales Mission, Diabetes Prevention and Aid Fund, DBA the Borderlands Food Bank, Nogales Community Development, Santa Cruz Training Programs, Senior Citizens of Patagonia. These are all agencies that are doing fantastic work in our community. You can make a donation to them and you get that money back on your taxes. Doesn't matter if you pay taxes or you get money back. If you are going to get money back, you'll get more money back. If you have to pay, you'll pay less. If you have questions, I'm willing to talk to anybody about it. In addition to that, you can take the tax credit for public schools, which is $200 for an individual, $400 for a married couple, and for private schools also. You can do all three. There's also one for foster care organizations and military organizations, and you can donate to them all. There's no reason you need to be sending your money to Phoenix. You can choose where you want your tax dollars to be spent. Just a quick example is that in 2012, Santa Cruz County sent $13 million in income tax to Phoenix. If everybody had maximized their tax credit, 8 million of that, 8 million would have stayed in our community. So it's a fantastic opportunity for you to decide where you want to spend your tax dollars. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Thank you so much. Very, very worthy contribution. Thank you for the great work you're doing here in our community. I'm going to take advantage of an announcement that we had here under call to the public from Representative Grijalva. Announces $25 million Tiger Tiger 9 grant for Nogales infrastructure improvements. Representative Halva sent this from yesterday, Washington, D.C. The U.S. Department of Transportation announced a $25 million Tiger 9 grant award for a major reconfiguration and built out of SR 189 in Nogales, Arizona. With more than 7 million vehicles crossing per year, the Mariposa Port of Entry in Nogales is one of the biggest in the country and is critical to a successful economic relationship between Mexico and the United States. The improvements will include raised medians, pavement widening, flyover ramps, and new roundabouts. The efforts of Arizona's congressional delegation and local leaders from across southern Arizona were critical to securing this important funding for the infrastructure improvements. Representative Grijalva sent multiple letters, including one with the Arizona delegation to the Department of Transportation in support of the project, stating this grant will provide much needed infrastructure repairs to the Mariposa Port of Entry that have been neglected for decades and have cost our economy millions, said Representative Raul M. Grijalva. Tiger grants have been a boon to local communities across the nation, and I appreciate the entire Arizona delegation. Also, we had from our chairman from the Nogales-Santa Cruz County Port Authority, the Greater Nogales-Santa Cruz County Port Authority, Memo Valencia, stated the Tiger grant is a critical part of the financing package for the full built-out for the modernization of SR 189, and we are grateful for all the support from Congressman Grijalva, the Arizona Department of Transportation, and all stakeholders throughout the state that supported this application. This project is essential for the safety of those that travel on this road. Also from our supervisor, Mr. Bruce Bracker, this grant will go a long way towards ensuring the long-term growth and development of the county and entire region. We look forward to our continued work with the Arizona Department of Transportation in maximizing the return of this investment, and we are grateful for the support from Congressman Grijalva and the Arizona Congressional Delegation on this effort. Also from myself, as mayor of the city of Nogales, State Route 189 is one of the best examples of transportation investments generating economic recovery in the state of Arizona. I hope this grant brings to fruition the full solution to the SR 189 bottleneck. I would like to thank U.S. Department of Transportation Secretary Elaine L. Child, Senator McCain, Senator Flake, Congressman Raul Grijalva, Congresswoman Martha Mazzali, ADOT, Siegel, Santa Cruz County, and City of Nogales officials and staff, and the Greater Nogales-Santa Cruz County Port Authority, Fresh Produce Association, Nogales, Arizona, and Sonora Maquiladoras, and all other stakeholders that have been essential and very involved in this project. And we thank you all for your participation and also for the great work you've done. And we have achieved $25 million now, that now we don't have to worry about $25 million that we had to worry before. So we're on our way. Hopefully it'll continue to go forward, and before we know it, we're going to be starting that project, and it's not going to be as a heavy burden as we thought at first for our community. So thank you all. Finishing with call to the public. We have one more, I think, but it's going to be an item that I think Mr. Fernando Parra wants to discuss when we get to it. Item F, I believe. So when we get there, unless you want, would you like to speak about it now, or you want to wait till we bring it up? Go ahead. Just state your name and address. And
I work there. Glad to put the address. My name is Fernando Parra. I'm the NUSD superintendent. Good evening. I was just going to ask you if I wait for the item on the consent agenda to come up and discuss when it's up, or can I do it now? So.
Well, it's up to you. You can do it now, or you can do it when we bring it up. Whatever you feel more comfortable with.
Well, we can. If I can do it now, I prefer to do it now.
Go ahead.
Thank you. You have before you tonight item F, consideration and possible action, and I wanted to address this to the council. Hopefully, that the council makes the right decision tonight. We have yearly IGAs with with the city of Nogales and NUSD. And we also have a separate IGA leasing Challenger Field. That's a long-term project and an agreement that we have. And the council just took action on an amendment for Challenger Field regarding the water. We've met with city officials. We discussed our proposal regarding the Pearson Field. Pearson Field is a little bit separated as to what we're doing with our IGAs, and we wanted for the council to listen to NUSD's recommendation and the reason behind it. So we've met with city officials, as I mentioned. We spoke regarding the city placing a meter at the Pearson Field, separate than the water meters going directly to the school. And we expressed our concerns. The Pearson Field is open 24 hours. It's used mostly 100% of the time by the community, by the citizens of the community. You go through there now, and it's a park. And that was a decision that NUSD made in the benefit of the community. But it's mostly used by the citizens, by the recreational clubs, by the youth soccer leagues, adult soccer leagues, Little League. We make it work. I know that the city recently had some complaints and some concerns from the leaders and the representatives of these organizations, because apparently the city provides these fields for a particular group and not everybody. Well, these same people that came to you are the ones that are coming to Pearson and using our field. And we don't mind. That's what we're doing. We opened it up, and we are providing this opportunity for the organizations that I mentioned. So we expressed to the administration, the city administration, that if they could help us with just the water consumption, the meter at the field, on the field, not the school water, just the water irrigation system, and absorb that cost. NUSD will continue to provide the services to the community and do the rest of the time of the factors and that we are covering. Right now, NUSD, with seeding, with the grass, seeding labor, sprinklers, just to maintain the fertilizers, the repairs, the cleaning. We also clean the facilities, maintain it. It's about a little bit close to $2,000. And depends on the monthly basis. So with those things said, we're hoping that in the partnership that we have with the city, and as I mentioned, it was our decision to do that, but it was also something that just recently came up regarding the meter at the school, and that's why now it's a concern. And so we're asking if the council can make the right decisions tonight and assisting NUSD with that part of the partnership, and hopefully we can continue to leave the school open. I think the mayor, you also had asked, if we need the restrooms, if those are open, we do that. We open them in the morning. We actually had some women from the community ask me personally if we could open those restrooms. We do. Sometimes the community is confused, is asking us for things, and say, well, the field is open, but we don't have to have it open. It's a school property, and we're doing it in good faith, with good reason, and we believe that if we could do this, then that would really help on our end. The city, NUSD, and the community will all be served appropriately. We would be doing the right thing. It's two public entities working together to serve our community. We're not getting anything out of this. NUSD, and of course the city will not be gaining anything out of this, but I believe with the shortage of fields that the city has, with the situation that you guys, the city, is dealing with, I think that we are actually supporting that and helping for that cause for the same reason, to serve our citizens and our community. So that's what we wanted to share. Again, I don't know what the proposal will be from the administration tonight. I believe they had about 4 different proposals or options for the city to make their determination and their decision on. I hope, and we hope from NUSD, that the city does the right thing and that they waive the meter and absorb that cost. Again, it's just for the watering of the field. It's not for the school water, the buildings of the school or anything like that. It will just be for the irrigation. We would cover the rest that are from our end. So that's what we wanted to share, and hopefully we could have some positive results from your decision tonight. So, thank you,
Mr. Bartlett. Appreciate that information. Okay, I hope you all keep it under your hat when we come to that item. Going to discussion items. Yes, go ahead.
Can we ask questions now, or would you prefer when we get to the item?
I think it's more appropriate when we get to the item.
Okay.
We'll ask the question. Is that okay, Mr. Potter? Sure. Just to get a little more feedback as the council feel comfortable. Yeah. Okay, so we'll continue. And on discussion items, A, we have something I placed here for consideration and possible action. An action item, which would be before commencing any internal or fact-finding investigation within any city department against a city employee or employees of any work status, career, full-time, part-time, at will, etc., that the investigation or fact-finding will be submitted and reviewed by our legal department before and after its findings for approval to proceed. Do I have a motion to approve this item? I make a motion. Well, let's see. I make the motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Is that for discussion?
Yes, that'll be open for discussion. And Councilman Barona.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On this item, it looks like it's going to be something that's going to be handled in our personal policy manual. Any action, the responsibility of all our employees lies solely under the discretion of the city manager. The city manager is responsible for all of our employees. If there is a need for an investigation, or it needs to be funneled to law enforcement or to our legal department, that is a decision that should be solely in the discretion of the city manager. If the city manager at any time needs assistance from the legal department, that's for the city manager to make that decision and ask the legal department for legal assistance. That's the purpose of the legal department. But I don't see anything, who's going to be making these fact-finding investigations. And if anything is going to be done to investigate an employee, that should fall solely under the discretion of the city manager. As it's worded right now, I understand what you're trying to get at here, Mayor. I just think that the protocol, we should not deviate from the will of the people, that all our employees fall and the management falls under the direction of the city manager. We provide the city manager with a legal department. The legal department is here for 2 factions: to advise the mayor and council and to advise the city manager. That's it. That's all that they do. They have nothing to do with our employees at the legal department. Nothing at all. That is solely under the purview of the city manager and nobody else. He decides, probably in conjunction with human resources, what is supposed to be done for disciplinary actions or whatever. But I don't want to deviate from the purviews of the city manager at all. If the city, I'm sure that whomever the city manager is, they have resources available to them. But the person who's going to be ultimately accountable for any actions is the city manager. So if we want to change the wording about this fact-finding mission, or I think we need to address that in the personnel manual. Where is it going to fall in the personnel manual? I think before we do it, the city manager should share it with his department heads, get feedback from it so that everybody's aware of it. I don't want this to be perceived as a target shooting range. It should be something positive, something that everybody understands, but it must be kept under the sole exclusive authority of the city manager. Thank you, Mayor.
I see your point, Dr. Barona. This is only to make sure that the city manager or anybody else that he assigns will have legal direction. What we don't want is to do something without legal being involved, which might bring a lawsuit to the city of Nogales. So it's basically for the safety of the city, and also to let the employees know that everything's on the up and up. And there's, like you said, there's nothing that's being done to put in jeopardy anyone, but instead for protection.
Mayor?
Mr. Mayor?
May I share some advice with the councilman?
Yes, please
Yeah.
do. Yeah, give us your legal opinion.
Okay. I've reviewed the charter, Councilman Verona, and the charter says that the city manager has the power to fire certain department directors. That's what the charter says. It doesn't say all employees, it just says certain department directors. The personnel manual, chapter 26, gets into discipline and different types of discipline that can be administered and who can do it. The personnel manual states that the city manager can terminate employees, but it also says that department directors and certain supervisors can do that as well. So I think you raise a valid point that the personnel manual is what controls at this time. And if you want to make changes to it, that's all, you have the power to do that. But right now, that's what it says, and it doesn't really discuss the procedure to be used for investigations. For example, recently there was a memorandum that was prepared by Frank Felix, the city manager, and it contained names and information about people and things of that sort. From what I understand about this item on the agenda, it's essentially to report to all of you truthful and accurate information. For example, there was an allegation that from the previous human resources office, that person's office, something was stolen or taken. I've spoken to IT, and they said there was nothing taken. It was moved to a different shelf within the same office, and the HR director at that time looked in the spot where she had it and wasn't there and thought that it was stolen or taken, but that's not accurate. It was within her office. It's very important that you all get truthful information. This memorandum from Dr. Felix, dated February 26, 2018, had a subject employee resignations, and it was distributed to all of you. Somehow, the media got a hold of it. We don't know how that happened. But it contains information there of a personal nature of people working here that we think in many cases was not accurate. And you're getting information that is not accurate. So I think the mayor's discussion item is meant to, when things like this are being looked at, to have the legal department kind of check it out before it's sent to you, just to make sure you're getting truthful information.
It's like a safeguard, and that anything that does come through has been checked out by legal. So to avoid any legal action taken against anyone in the city, especially the city. And that's what it's about. Yes, Vice Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dr. Felix, is this something that could assist you? Could you recommend this for the mayor and the council? Have you looked at it?
I have, and I would go to council. This memo is a reflection of the comments that were made to me by individuals. I relate to you the situations so you could have an idea of what the issues were pending, resolution of these issues.
Sure.
I did investigate. I did ask IT to review the video and resolve that there was no break-in. And the other issues were comments that were made to me by these individuals at the time in terms of their feelings of what was happening. Would I do an investigation? Absolutely. I took these comments that these individuals provided me to heart in terms of issues that need to be addressed by HR and by the city council in terms of issues that may come up from a legal perspective, more so from a personnel perspective, of the quality of support we give our employees in reflecting their concerns to you.
Okay, hearing that, I believe that this would have been in place instead of having a premature statement go out that kind of put in jeopardize some of the employees by their names being put out. And also for the council, instead of having the facts and jumping to conclusions, because we didn't get the fact of the investigation until after the fact that memo came out. And after the investigation, it showed that it was all rumors or anything, or just not factual what was said. And that's what we're trying to avoid in the future.
Mayor, if I may, those comments made were factual. The fact that it was introduced to the public without having the time to correspond with you, have responses from you, I think was a problem.
No, Doctor, what I'm referring to is that we were led to believe that somebody broke into that office, and after
that was
investigation,
a statement that was made, and I investigated it and resolved that it was not a true statement. It's not a true statement, but a respond to a situation of an employee that was under stress that perhaps made that remark. When an employee presents a note to me saying this is an issue, I think it's incumbent on me to present to the council a probability of issues and problems and perhaps legal ramifications. That's the intent of the memo, nothing else.
and that's why, again, Dr. Barona, I feel that something like this in place would kind of slow the process just enough to get more information, so that way we get the right information. Yes, go ahead.
Again, several notes here. It's strictly an administrative situation, especially when you're dealing with personnel. So that's left up to whoever the city manager is, right? If the city manager again requests legal on it, I see no problem. But it's all depends on the city manager. He doesn't have to go to legal. Should he? Maybe he should, but he doesn't have to go to legal. He's the one that runs everything there with personnel. Legal does not run or should even get involved with personnel, unless you're talking something else. The memorandum that he sent out, I think, was correct enough that we found out that there was 4 people that had resigned. That came out immediately. I think we had to know that immediately. It wasn't a matter of waiting 3 or 4 days to find that out. Whenever that happens, I mean, we've always been advised immediately. When someone resigns, we've always been advised. And this, been here several years, so we've never had a problem of being advised about somebody resigning. Okay? So again, I believe it's strictly an administrative situation, and it should. If they want to use legal, I see no problem using legal. I see no problem at all. But again, it's strictly an administrative decision as to what's going to go on there. And again, legal should not be looking at personnel items. I mean, he should not have, the personal files on anybody should be strictly in human resources. They should not be allowed to be nobody should be allowed to look at them. There's too many confidential items there.
This doesn't talk about that.
Well, it's saying that they will decide, it will be given to them automatically.
No,
That's not the way it
to
should be.
review the investigation and make sure that they don't
Well,
step on someone's toes illegally.
again,
Legal will
then why don't we
give
review
advice.
it? Why don't we review it? Why don't they bring us the personnel files and let us review it?
Well, do you have that?
We don't have that.
that
We do
doc-
not have
that doctrine of legal to be able to make
the question here is, should anybody be looking at personnel files?
This is
And they should not
the
be
question
looking
here
at it.
is to avoid a lawsuit. That's what we're trying to avoid.
Well, if the lawsuit is there, the lawsuit is there. Right?
Yeah, but
And
a lot of times it can be prevented with good legal advice.
well, I don't see where there would be a lawsuit. There could be lawsuits, but it
Sure,
doesn't
there
have,
could be a
it doesn't
lawsuit.
have to do with somebody advising that someone has resigned. I don't see a lawsuit there. Now, what caused them to resign
putting names
could be a
out,
lawsuit,
putting
certainly.
names out to the public, it can create problems for those employees.
Again, I don't
They
think-
have rights too.
I don't think it's a problem. I mean, we're developing a problem that doesn't exist or it has not existed.
No, that's fine.
Right.
It's there. It's there for the, it's there for protection. If the council doesn't feel that the city needs that protection, and they don't mind facing themselves with lawsuits, well, that's your choice.
Well,
You're entitled
the
to
actual
it.
notification and actual there, I think someone else handling personnel items only opens up to more lawsuits. So it should be the way the charter reads, and it should be the way the
I
personnel
think legal has
manual
always
reads.
dealt with giving
Right.
direction even on personnel
And again,
matters. So
yeah, the bottom line, it is an administrative.
That's why we
it
have
is
legal.
Administrative.
That's
It's
why we have
strictly
legal.
administrative.
Councilman Hennessy, I just, if I may, I think one thing that would help to solve this would be just if we had some sort of section in the personnel manual that dealt with this issue or clarified it or specified it. Because it's not really spelled out in the personnel manual, about how an investigation is supposed to be done or who's to do it. And my suggestion would be maybe at some point we could, clarify that in the personnel manual.
I agree. That would be better than trying to do it this way.
Yes, Councilman Diaz.
Mayor, if I may, isn't it customary for an outside agency to do any investigation? As far as doing our investigation on our city employees, usually if the city manager decides there's an investigation warranted, I think it should go to outside counsel, not our own department, because it would create a conflict. And I think that's a customary way of doing it. We don't investigate our own.
Yeah, but those are more serious investigations.
Well, any investigation.
And sometimes even from a small investigation, it can get into legal ramifications if there's no legal counsel to start off with. And that's basically, it's a safety measure to make sure that it starts, whatever it is, as small as it is or as big as it is, that it starts on the right track with legal counsel, which protects the city manager and protects anybody involved, because now they have legal counsel and direction. And then when they're done with it, if it needs to be, again, just to have a review of how to proceed, then but this is just this doesn't have it's just kind of to make sure that we're aware that the city of Nogales needs to be protected from lawsuits by mishandling small things that can get into big things.
But that's why we have.
So
Dr.
we can
Fleming
rewrite
say-
this. It's only, we can amend it. It's no big thing. We can table it. We can do anything with it and bring it back, and with better language, with input from the whole council.
Mr. Mayor?
If you want to do your input now, it's okay with me. I'm just putting that out there as a safety measure.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
thank you. Dr. Felix, again, I bring it to you. Is this something that would be useful to you? Do you recommend this, that we further look at it and maybe come back with clear language on this?
Point of clarification now, referring to Mr. Diaz's question, I did reach out to the Arizona Municipal group that provides legal counsel for the leagues and cities in town for our membership. I'm in contact with an attorney. I was in contact with an attorney from the initial standpoint and requested their assistance for outside counsel, and I have outside counsel because of where the complaints originated from.
Sure.
It was from the legal office.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I think on this situation here, if Dr. Felix, and nobody's trying to impugn your reputation here, Dr. Felix, we have all the confidence in you. But if you feel that this is something that is worthy of our making an amendment to the personnel manual, then you should go ahead, write something up, make sure that it meets all the legal wording that's necessary, if you feel this is necessary. Run it through all the department heads, get feedback from them, and then bring it back to us and tell us specifically, where is this going to go in the personnel manual? What are the consequences for this? And how is this chain of command? Because a director is not going to take this directly to the legal department. The protocol is they go directly to you.
Right.
And you make the decision if it goes to the legal department.
Will do.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to table this agenda item.
Okay. I think that, so you will give us a future recommendation then?
I will.
Okay. So we have a motion, do we have a second to table?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. This item is tabled for whenever in the future.
Amen.
Okay. So now we took care of that, let's go to the consent agenda. And we have here, we have a few liquor licenses that,
Motion to approve the consent agenda is presented and recommended.
Second.
okay, all right, thank you very much. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried unanimously. We'll go to public hearing. A, regarding use of CDBG funds. Yes, Mr. Kissinger, can you kind of,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, as was advertised in the Nogales International, tonight is the night for public hearing, so the public can offer comments to the mayor and council, especially because you're going to be making the consideration of under item 9, A, B, C, D, and D. So tonight's the public's opportunity to address those 4 items. And so we'd like to open it up to any public comment for you to, so the public can talk to you about your decisions that you all be making tonight. Mr. Mayor.
thank you, Mr. Well, we have this item A open for public comment, if anybody would like to speak out on it regarding use of CDBG funds.
I think maybe we should read order number A so that the audience.
Okay. All right. We'll go with order number 8. Consideration and possible action of order 2018-03-018, in order of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, authorizing the submission of an application for fiscal year 2018 State Community Development Block Grant Funds, certifying that said application meets the community's previously identified housing and community development needs and the requirements of the state CDBG program, and authorizing all actions necessary to implement and complete the activities outlined in said application. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Well, wait a minute, we need to find out which project we're going to support.
Correct.
We're not going
Four
item by
projects,
item?
No.
Oh,
We're
this
going to
is-
listen to
This
the
is for,
public
okay,
first.
all right, this is
First
for
we
the
listen to the
4th.
public,
Okay,
and we're-
There's 4 projects.
let's
Right.
pick the one that,
and then, but we want to listen to the public and see if they have any recommendations.
yes.
Now, should the public know which recommendations are on the table?
Yes, sir. If you want, I could restate them. I could restate those.
Okay, yeah, please.
Like I said, they were advertised in the newspapers, and they stated these projects, but I'll restate them for the public here. The first item is the purchase of a fire truck. The second item is the continuation of the McNabb Avenue water main and road improvement projects. The third one is to provide some stadium lighting to the Challenger and Holcomb Field. And the fourth one is to provide ADA compliant playground equipment throughout our parks here in the city of Nogales. After having some public hearings on the CDBG monies, these were the four projects that were submitted that passed the federal guidelines for CDBG funding. So tonight, the public can speak to you all on which project they might prefer in this, and then on order number 18, we're asking council to decide which one of those four projects you want us to move forward with in the grant application.
Now, I think also the public should know how much money is involved and also how much each one of these is going to cost. Because I think it doesn't, not one of them takes it all, does it? Not one of them takes the whole fund?
Yeah, it's right here.
They'll all be using the whole fund.
No, not the playground.
The playground, we would spend all the CDBG money doing the playground.
But there's no leverage amount for the playground.
No, sir.
That's the only one. I thought that's what he was alluding to.
Oh, okay. Well, and then there's a following order. The next order after that one is the leveraging money.
Is the leveraging. But let the public.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Gates. Well, that's the total amount of it.
Yeah, well, that's what we're
So would anybody in the public like to make some comments or?
John?
Adjourn.
It's approximately $290,850.48.
And how much is a fire truck?
Fire truck is $380,338,000.
We'll give them all of them the McNabb.
McNabb, $782,247.
But are you including the paving on that also, or?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, you didn't include it before. You just said the infrastructure, which is pretty shot. The water lines and everything has been one of the worst areas.
It's the McNabb Avenue water and street surfacing
From Crawford all the way down to Western, right?
No.
Okay.
It's from Crawford, the water lines are from Crawford to where the first apartments are on the left-hand side there, by Saavedra Drive.
Correct.
And then after that, it goes from
To the downfall.
it goes from Anthony Drive to Western Avenue.
But that would
And the
include
paving is the whole rest of the street.
Yeah, that includes everything will be
Yeah, that includes paving.
stadium lights.
The stadium lights, we did two proposals for stadium lights, but the stadium lights combined is $541,000. But we broke them out into both fields. The Hohokam came out to $289,000 and the Challenger $252,000. The little bit of a difference there is Challenger has electricity readily available to it. Hohokam there's an additional cost to get electricity up the hill. And the ADA playground is we spend the entire money until we run out of money to do the playground. So we anticipate we can probably replace them all. So the leveraging amount, which would be the second item on your agenda, would be for the fire truck. Basically, would need to leverage $89,487.52. For the McNabb project, and the funding source for that would be contingency. That's for the fire truck. For the McNabb project, we would need a funding. A leveraging amount of $491,396.52. Staff has identified overweight fees for that funding source. The stadium lights. The stadium lights is roughly $250,000 of leveraging would need. Staff is recommending that if we were to do stadium lights, we'll just pick one, so we wouldn't have to leverage any other money. And then also the Challenger playground. I mean, not the Challenger playground, the ADA playground at $290,850. So what's important that since it's federal money, if we have a project that exceeds the $290,850, that's why the federal government needs that we approve an order, the following order, that we commit the leveraging money, so we don't get the 290,000 and only do a half a project.
So, can you tell us how much money we have on the overweight
available
for
funds?
roads?
$1 million.
It was over $1 million. I think I put it in the staff summary, if I'm not mistaken.
$1.1 million.
1.1 or something.
1.1, and how much do we get a year into that fund coming in from the state?
I believe last I heard it was a little over 800,000. Yeah.
So,
And it's not fixed. It depends on how many trucks pull the permits.
right, but it's around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, Councilman.
Yeah, Mr. Kissinger, also the other projects that were there, which was the senior center, and I don't know if the Boys and Girls Club was also on it, were they not acceptable to the rules of the federal government on this grant?
That's correct. They didn't qualify under the guidelines of the grant. They're non-qualifying.
And that decision was made by the federal government, that was looked into by our staff, or how was that decided?
That was with the help of Bonnie. Bonnie, do you want to talk about that?
Basically, you could do the.
Could we please get you on the record?
Yes.
Bonnie Williams from Seago. Okay, so
who do you represent?
at the first public hearing, some smaller projects like the roof of the Boys and Girls Club were mentioned. So you are, so staff basically said $30,000 and you're going to give 200 back to the state? Why would you choose one small project? Because you can only have one project.
Or you can only have one project?
Right, so that's why we've guided them towards the larger dollar number projects. That's unfortunate for nonprofits, but that's the state's rules right now.
That was the same with the senior center.
Yes.
Oh, the 290 has to be spent on one project?
Right.
Yes, just one project now for cities. Counties get 3, but cities get 1.
What part of the county?
Right, when it's their turn, so.
You have something, Mr. Potter, you want to say?
Republic is just another.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you. Going back, I think they mentioned the Challenger field, right? We didn't make an amendment for the Challenger field, but I'm not in the lighting. So I hope that that's not a separate meter or a distinguished difference there, because it's great. We're not aware. So if they're doing that, again, it's benefiting the community, but the property still belongs to NUSD. It's on a leasing agreement, and it's going to better the field, it's going to better everything around it, because again, it's going back to our community. But just to make you aware, just hopefully that you do keep that separate and the expenses not sent back to us, because you lease the property without lights.
Mr. Mayor?
For the kids.
Yes, sir. Councilman.
It's for the kids.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Kissinger. Mr. Mayor, before I ask Mr. Kissinger this question, could you just ask if there's anybody else in the public that has something to say? Because
Yes,
I don't want to.
Is there, yes, we have quite a few here yet to go. Go ahead, Mr. Bonoran, would you like to stand up there and state your name?
Manuel Bonoran. Hearing about the 4 projects, as a taxpayer, the one I see that's needed is repairing the infrastructure, which is McNabb, and fixing what's broken or about to break, because I've seen stuff degrade through town by neglect, and here's a chance to do something before it breaks and it costs the taxpayers more money. So I kind of think that's a better option. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bonoran. Yes, would you please take the...
I'm Chuck Thomas. I live 2760 Camino Vista del Cielo here in Nogales. To me, what makes sense with the overweight funds that you just referred to, over $1 million, would be things like infrastructure, water mains and water pipes and paving and that sort of thing. This project you're talking about with the playground seems to make the most sense to me because it would benefit the most individuals here within our city. And it also seems like if the stuff we have now is not meeting ADA standards, that's setting up for injury and possible lawsuits in the future with some of the equipment that we have now. So that's something else I think you might want to consider in that respect. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Yes.
Yes, Linda?
Just Linda Rushton, 269 West Loma. As I recall, it was last council meeting that we were talking, the fire chief was here talking about the need for new fire engine. Now, and we were then talking about what happened to that half-cent tax that was supposed to go to the fire department and the police department.
Quarter cent.
What is it?
Quarter
cent. So, did anybody figure out where that money went?
Well, yes, they did.
Okay,
As a matter of
so-
fact, I think they can, but they have the figures on that.
Okay, so if this will pay for 3/4 of a brand new fire truck, and you have that money for the remainder of the new fire truck, if you want to benefit everybody in the community, it seems to me it ought to be a new fire truck, especially since they were talking about how old the existing fire equipment is. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Anyone else that wanted to speak out? Yeah, there was Mr. Coppola.
Mr. Coppola lives in Sierra Vista.
Manuel Coppola, 388 Arroyo Boulevard.
Went with a wash.
Well, I agree with my cousin Manuel here as far as the need for upkeep of the infrastructure. I don't think that we do enough for our kids, particularly those with disabilities. And some of you might know my deep roots in that area. And so for those reasons, I would advocate for the playground equipment.
Thank you, Mr. Coppola.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Kissinger, would you please now tell us a staff recommendation and the reasons for it? Go ahead. You guys make the money. We're just $25.
Dr. Barona, I'd like to defer that question to the man who makes even more money than I do. So could you handle this one?
Okay.
Mr. Councilman Barona, we prioritize the infrastructure requirements because of the potential future costs that can incur. We don't address that problem. In terms of the other projects, I just need you to understand that we're pursuing grants to expand the recreational activities and facilities in the city pretty aggressively, working with Marcel and Frank Gillen in terms of planning what needs are and determining costs. The grants are going to be a way to address the recreational needs across the board for different activities. So it'd be great if we had more money, but we don't. I think the water issues, the infrastructure issue is real critical, especially on that street. And there are other critical infrastructure issues with water. So we're doing a parallel charge to get some additional money for infrastructure at the same time for recreational facilities to be expanded across the city.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, Councilman.
I, for one, at the inception, was favoring the fire truck. Okay, all of these projects are very good. Staff spend a lot of time in the documentation. I thank all the staff for that. I thought that, Marcel, thank you for the work that you did. It was very clear and pointed out. It's not that we're trying to put down any of your projects or anything like that. It's just a matter, like Dr. Felix said, that there's a limitation of money. But, Mr. Mayor, during our public study session that we had starting at 4:30 this afternoon, we did talk about the fire truck during the presentation of our budget and how we're going to be working on developing our budget and our financial forecast. So there's a remedy right there for the fire truck. But right now, I would support continuing to finish McNabb Drive and keeping those neighborhoods, because that particular street is deteriorating. I think we've only corrected the problem of 40%, 30–40%. So we should probably finish that street so that they know that we're going to take care of the neighborhoods. And when we start a project, we're going to complete that project. And then I hope that the rest of the council will make a commitment to support some of these projects during the budget hearing. And you please work with Mrs. Perales on getting those projects in there for that, okay? Because we really, I know that every one of us here has a depth of concern for public safety. So, Mayor, I would make a motion to accept the recommendation of Dr. Felix and include in this particular order that order number 2018-03-018, that the project to be included in the blank spaces is the McNabb Drive project, and then we'll talk about the contingency that we're putting in there or the leverage amount on the next order.
Okay, we have it's a motion that you're making on,
yes,
on top of the other motion, or we
well,
no, we didn't make a motion at the time.
Yeah, I would just say that on this order, that's what I would propose.
Okay, so we have a motion.
You didn't like my motion.
We have a motion to...
Just a real quick point of order. Maybe we just want to close the public comment session, okay, and then go right to this item so you can make a motion.
Okay, so seeing no other comments.
Can I make one more comment?
Well, okay, Councilman, go ahead.
Yeah, and I agree with Mr. Varona. Basically, I was in New Orleans a couple of months ago, and there is, Mr. Marcel, I talked to Musco directly over there, and there's possible financing stuff that could be done for the parks, and we talked to brought in some information to Dr. Felix, and on the playgrounds, that's a big plus for me, Mr. Coppola. I'm actually bringing in Little League with Challenge Kids this year again to make more activities for the Challenge Kids. So basically, I agree with what you're saying, but there is other possibilities of bringing in more financing and direction for these other projects. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilman. Seeing no other further comments, we're going to go ahead and close the public comments on this discussion of the CDG funding, and we're going to go ahead now and entertain Councilman Barona's motion.
I'll second that, Mayor.
To accept the McNabb project, and we have a second. We discussed it pretty well, so we'll call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Seeing none, motion carried unanimously. Now, I guess we covered we go to B now. Consideration and possible action of order 2018-03-019, in order of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, committing local funds as leverage for a fiscal year 2018 community development block grant application. Okay.
Motion to approve order 2018-03-02 in leverage money in the
01. 019, sir.
019.
Yes.
In the amount of 400, I don't have it here in front of me, Mr. Kissinger, I'm sorry.
491, 396, 52.
That amount. Thank
Okay, I second that.
Thank you, Mr. Baldo.
So we have a first and second, open for discussion. Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? None? Motion carried unanimously. Going to C, consideration and possible action of order 2018-03-020, in order of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, authorizing the submission of an application for fiscal year 2018 State Community Development Block Grant Colonia funds, certifying that said application meets the community's previously identified housing and community development needs and the requirements of the state CDBG program, and authorizing all actions necessary to implement and complete the activities outlined in said application.
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, discussion? Seeing none?
We need a
You need a
second.
you need a second.
Oh, I thought we had a second.
No, we
Okay.
both so moved.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a second. And open for discussion?
Oh, I'm glad to see that the staff, Dr. Felix, that you're going, seeking out all of this extra money. This colonial project is going to just benefit what we worked in conjunction with the county to finish over there in the Nogalitos area, the paving, to make one, the Santa Cruz County colonial project. We partner with them. Like Superintendent Parra says, these partnerships that we're developing is just great. This is wonderful what we're doing here to help improve our community and seeking out outside funds.
Any other comments or discussion? Questions?
Question?
Okay, call for the question. All right, all those in favor of approving this order signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? None? Motion carried unanimously. Going to D, consideration and possible action of order 2018-03-021, in order of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, committing local funds as leverage for fiscal year 2018 Colonia's Community Development Block Grant application.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Second? Who made the second? Okay, Councilman Diaz. Open for discussion.
There's a blank there. Nogales hereby commits. How much do we commit?
Yes, sir. So, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
So this is a leveraging money also, and so this is a competitive grant. So we're competing with all communities within 150 miles of the border for this this grant money for a Colonials project. And you read the project, so you know what it's about. Well, you get extra points if you leverage your own money. The maximum points you can get is 10 points, and you would have to leverage 25% of the project cost, the 1.4 million project cost. So we would need to leverage $360,574 to get the entire 25%, 10 points. And staff is recommending that's what we do. And the funding source would be overweight, which has a balance of, as of 2/22/18, $1.8 million.
1.8?
1.8, sir. That's where we're at.
Well, that increased about 700,000 from the last school. That'll cover that.
So staff is recommending that the city leverage 25% to get the 10-point maximum.
Motion to amend the main motion to include in the blank a leverage amount of $360,574.
I second that.
Second.
Oh, okay, second from Councilman Diaz. Any more discussion? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? None? Motion carried unanimously. Going to E, consideration and possible action of order 2018-03-022, in order of the Council of the City of Nogales adopting a residential anti-displacement and relocation plan for fiscal year 18 as required under Section 104D of the Housing and Community Act of 1974 as amended. Do I
So
have a
moved.
motion to approve? Second, anybody?
Second.
Second. Open for discussion?
This is another good project that the staff is bringing, making our community better by seeking outside funds. This is great. Very good, Dr. Felix. Breath of fresh air around here.
All right. Any other comments? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor of approving signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? None? Motion carried unanimously.
Mr. Mayor,
And-
so if you don't mind, I would like to say I want to thank Bonnie for helping us get all of these. I mean, these are lengthy to get these things through.
Yeah,
Staff who
definitely.
did a tremendous job of getting these projects and the budget for the project and getting these through. And I want to thank you for supporting staff.
Yes, Bonnie is all over the southern part of the state here with Siegel and helping.
By the way, I
our
think
kids.
Bonnie's retiring.
No.
She's retiring next year, so
So we better do it all now.
better get it all done this year. Again, thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you, Bonnie, and thank you for staying around. It'll make my job easier as chairman of Siegel with your presence. Thank you.
Give her a little applause there.
And Bonnie, my conservative friend doesn't applaud for just anybody. Very seldom applauds.
You didn't bring, Bonnie, you didn't bring tonight the person that you're going to be breaking in and helping out?
No, not tonight.
Not tonight? Okay. Just thought I'd check. Thank you, Bonnie. Going to number F, consideration and possible action of order 2018-03-023, in order of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, authorizing the city manager to open a water utility account for water meter 82120172, servicing the irrigation of the Pearson Field located at the Nogales Unified School District's administration property on 310 Plum Street.
So moved.
Oh, hold on.
Okay, we have a motion to
Mr.
approve
Chairman,
or?
Mr. Mayor, wait.
Question.
Please, no. I want to ask the attorney a question. I sit on the Nogales Unified School District Governing Board. Do I have a conflict of interest by participating in this item? Never know.
I think it's questionable, so I think it's better to err on the side that you do.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Varona, for bringing that up.
Can't call me outside when they're finished.
Mr. Rodona's going to pay the bill.
First one that walks out. Okay.
Okay, so moved.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve.
Motion, second.
Second. Okay, open for discussion.
I think of all the stuff that, like, again, we've had many comments about we need more fields.
Yes.
And I think if we're going to be partnering with them, I think that's the least we can do because they're doing everything else. And then maybe we can even break up that field into 2 fields and have just more people being able to use the field. So overall, I think it's a big plus for the community that the school system and the city get together on this.
Yes, I agree. I concur with that, Councilman Nubar. Anybody else have a comment or want to discuss it any further?
It's a very good partnership.
It is.
And we should help the schools.
Yes, and
It's
we,
for the children.
we thank Mr. Parra for coming over, and really you kind of explained it pretty well and kind of saves us time on discussion. So I want to call for the question. All those in favor of
Mr. Mayor?
approving? Oh, there we go.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Mayor. You have some options, A, B, C, or D
Oh,
to choose
that's
on
right,
this?
yeah. We have to pick the
Because if
option.
you pass it, we don't know.
Yes,
what the
yes,
process is.
thank you. Okay, so is there an option that the council would like to
You want me
prepare?
to go over the options?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Help?
Everybody know.
I think Mr. Varona was the expert on that, but you have to walk out.
Mr. Mayor, option A is opening an account for the said meter in the name of the city of Nogales. The city would pay the bill. Option number 2 is opening the account in the name of the Nogales Unified School District. They would pay the bill. Option C would open it in the account in the name of the Nogales Unified School District and subsidize the monthly water bill by whatever amount the mayor and council recommends. And then option D is to open up the account in the Nogales Unified School District and subsidize the monthly bill by percentage. So option Option C was a dollar amount, and option D is a percentage.
And number A is that the city of Nogales would take, would pay for that water that goes to the field.
A would be, we would pay for it.
And I think that
I move for A.
I think A. We have some A's here, and I agree with A. I don't know if anybody else wants to comment on it.
I just want to make a comment, and just for clarification, Dr. Potter, the field is irrigated, controlled by the school district, the irrigation.
Yes, at this time it's controlled by the district.
And you guys basically do the whole work and everything on it.
Yes, we do the entire maintenance right now, the operation, everything with the field, and of course we would work with the city regarding the time, setting up the times and everything regarding how much water we would be doing, how much watering. That's something we had discussed.
Basically, I was where I was going to. Basically, as long as city and the Unified School District are basically agreeing and looking over the usage of the water amount and all that.
Correct.
That's
the intention, because we understand.
And I thank you for all your support with not just the Pearson, all the schools that you lend us with Little League and all that, and the whole community. Thank you.
There was one thing I didn't hear, and I was wondering, the lights that are there on the field that are lit up at night, does the school pay for that? Or?
Part of that, yeah, we cover that. It was prior to me coming on board with the superintendent. I believe there was an agreement done with the Citizen Unisource, I think.
Okay,
that
so
worked
you
in
take
partnership.
care of that too.
Yes, sir.
And then the other thing, one more thing. The only thing I go out there and trot around sometimes, and but I notice that the west side is kind of closed, and it kind of keeps you only from the north and south side of entering the field at night.
Right.
Is there any chance that they could open that west side when you can park along there and just?
Well, we did that for security, more security reasons.
Was
For
there a
us, we have
problem
the camera in one area, and so when we had that open access, we had a lot of problems. And this way, it's more control. And so, but we do keep the gates open 24 hours a day. During the day, during the school hours, we close all the gates with the exception of the main entrance through the parking lot, because again, that's where our camera is, and we do have students on campus.
And you have one on the south side as well?
Yes, sir.
Does that also have camera access? Or?
Not on that part of the field, and so that's why we kind of monitor it just when one gate open during the school hours. After school, we open the gate towards the driveway, the parking lot area, and the main gate stays open.
Okay.
And again, we cover the maintenance, the everything for the field
and the bathrooms.
Correct. Open. We also are, yes, and we cover the labor for that as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes,
thank you.
Vice Mayor, would you like to say something?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'm thinking if I'm on that discretionary ground, since I am an employee as well with the Nogales Unified School District, I guess if I vote the wrong way, I might get my pink slip.
No.
I don't know.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. Your excuse. Your excuse.
I'm glad Mr. Lucero is absent. That's three.
We still have a quorum. Okay, so I think we've, unless there's another comment or somebody wants to say anything.
That's it.
I think we will call for the question. We've discussed it enough, and we want to keep that good relationship and be part of it and support it. So all those. Okay, all those in favor of approving order F signify by saying aye. That's on the A with A.
With option item.
Option item A. That's right.
Yes.
FA, that the city will take the lead and put the bill. So all those in favor of A, FA, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. There's not too many to oppose, so motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, now let's call the rest of the council in.
Thank you.
Again, thank you, Mr. Potter, again. Thank you for coming over.
Thank you.
Appreciate your comments.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
You got the bill, Mr. Redondo. Thank you, sir.
Where are they putting it? Where are they putting it?
I guess Mr. Rojas wasn't notified.
Oh, he went to the bathroom.
Rent 50 by 50, 200 square feet.
From the city or this?
From the city, so we're gonna get $1,000.
Should I need them to go to one of my pieces of property? I gotta put her in the.
What happened to this meeting? What happened to the meeting?
Mr. Rojas.
They went to the bathroom. The mayor, where did he go? También, oh.
Okay, let's continue. Ya estás empacado, Marcio. Ya está listo. Yeah, you got everything.
Yeah.
Shirts.
A stipend.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll continue now with G, consideration and possible action of order 2018-03-024, an order of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, approving a sub-grantee agreement with the 100 Club of Arizona for a safety enhancement stipend grant in the amount of $5,997.80 in reimbursable capital outlay equipment.
So moved. Second.
Okay, open for discussion.
Mr. Kissinger, could you?
Yeah.
Mr.
You wanna-
Kissinger, they give us a little explanation.
Who's a MF? This is MF. Is that NF or MF?
Chief.
Mr. Mayor, this is the chief.
Okay, MS. So it's Nogales Fire Department. Okay. There you go. I got thrown off with the M there.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, yes, the M is a typo. It's Nogales Fire and Medical Department, NFMD. So this is a grant for wildland fire protective equipment. boots, helmet, long sleeve fire rated shirts and stuff to fight brush fires. And that's what this is, 100% reimbursable.
And just, Mr. There's nothing we have to do. I mean, we don't have to guarantee going and fighting the fire in Tucson, or no, there's nothing like that.
No other strings attached.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, Chief. All right. So is there any more comments, discussion, or? Nope. All those in favor of approving order 2018-03-024, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? None. Motion carried unanimously. Just want to call out again for the public hearing that we had. And go ahead, Mr. Kissinger.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Bonnie reminded me right now, I wasn't sure if it was, the public knew that this public comment was for both the CDBG funding and the Colonia grant. We're just asking you, Mr. Mayor, to ask the public if they have any comments on the Colonia grant that we're going to apply for over there on Perkins. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Does anybody have any comments on the Colonia grant application? Basically, I think we covered it, except we didn't say Colonia grant.
Correct.
On that. So, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close that public hearing for the Colonia grant application.
Thank you for indulging us.
Okay. And we'll continue with H. Consideration and possible action of order 2018-03-025, in order the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, approving the sub-grantee agreement with the Arizona Department of Homeland Security for a state Homeland Security grant program award in the amount of $9,450 in reimbursable capital outlay equipment.
So move.
Okay.
Second.
Second. Open for discussion.
Call for the question.
Could we have a little?
Let's see, the chief's coming over here to give us a little briefing on that.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of council, this grant is for rescue, what we're going to call Rescue Task Force. It's active shooter preparedness equipment. This item and the next item were both part of a bigger grant that we submitted last year that we didn't get initial funding for. And then they went ahead and started giving us pieces of it at a time as other agencies don't spend their money, they get kicked back and they reallocate the money. So we're getting pieces of a bigger grant, pieces at a time, and that's this item and the next item. What it's going to purchase is a ballistic protection helmet and vest for our firefighters, and along with big trauma pouches specifically designed to treat active shooter victims. So that's what this next two grants are for.
Thank you for that.
100% reimbursable and no other strings attached as well. So.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments or seeing none? Call for the question. All those in favor of approving this items, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nays? None. Motion carried unanimously. Going to I. Consideration and possible action of order 2018-03-026, order of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, approving a sub-grantee agreement with the Arizona Department of Homeland Security for a state Homeland Security grant program award in the amount of $10,404 in reimbursable capital outlay equipment.
So moved.
Second.
Second. And open for discussion. Do you need any briefing or anything?
You already gave us.
Okay, you got it. All right. So, all those, call for the question. All those in favor of approving this item signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. No nays. Motion carried unanimously. Going to J, consideration and possible action of order 2018-03027, in order of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, authorizing an application for a fiscal year 2018 grant from the Bureau of Reclamation Water Smart Grant for drought contingency planning for fiscal year 2018.
So moved.
Yes, do I have a second?
Second.
Yes. Open for discussion.
Mr. Kissinger, could we get an explanation on this one, or who would give us an explanation?
Carson?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this application is, we need to develop a plan for a contingency in case of a long-term drought. We have a plan that was developed about 15 years ago. This needs to be upgraded. What actions they need to be taken in case of a long-term drought, how you're going to provide water services to people. Once the plan gets developed, it's going to come to you for approval and adoption once it's developed. The application right now is to draft the plan, and the Bureau of Reclamation would pay 50% of that.
Okay, yes, Councilman Diaz.
Mr. Bárcenas, I'm showing a figure here of 162,000.
Yes.
So the city would be liable for half?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So
if we get that grant, that's what, one clarification, the matching money from the city could be in-kind contribution, which is my time and everybody else's time that gets dedicated to that project gets credit. We estimated about $40,000 is going to be the in-kind contribution, so the balance would be the cash contribution from the city.
So it's a win-win.
Yeah, it is.
But does the enterprise water fund have the $20,000? I thought that was the only account that was in the black, right? So we're okay with that $20,000. Okay.
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilman.
So our advantage is that we'll have a plan in case we have a drought.
Yes. Yeah, and some actions identify what actions you would approve to take in case of a drought, like reducing consumption. And I think the previous plan that we have in place, you say, okay, and on these conditions, you go and limit the irrigation of landscape to once a week. And then if the drought continue, you can impose more restrictions on no irrigation landscape, and more steps until the drought passes. And also identify sources of water that you can use in case of emergency. Let's say that the Santa Cruz River goes dry. Okay, well, how are we going to deal with that? We're going to switch pumping to this location. As you may remember, we have an allocation from the Patagonia Lake that in case of an emergency, we can tap into that. But those are the steps that need to be identified in the plan. So in case of really extreme drought, we can take and provide water for the community.
Now, the new plan, do you see it as being very different from the old plan, or are we just going to repeat the old plan?
No, we're going to address all the new regulations and new situations that we have. We have different conditions on the wells. We have different water rights. All those things need to be reviewed and adapted to the new plan.
Is that going to take into consideration with Mexico pumping X water from the Santa Cruz River?
That's exactly right. What happens if the Santa Cruz River gets overpumped by Mexico or whatever reason, or contamination could be another problem. So the plan is supposed to address and has to have some hydrology elements in that, some legal and some consideration for the mayor and council for actions in case of this condition.
Is there an agreement right now with Mexico as to how much they can pump, or they can just pump as much as they want?
No, there is no agreement.
Thank you.
One last question, Mr. Bárcenas. Once this plan gets approved, how quick would it go into effect? Or
Would be part of your ordinance regulations, so it would be in place to be ready in case of the situation arise, and you have to take action on this guidance for what to do in case of a long-term drought.
Are we right now in drought conditions?
We have been in drought conditions for the last 10 years, but not severe. And this plan is supposed to address like conditions like right now, and more severe. Like, let's say that we don't have any rains for the next 5 years, and half of the water that we use comes from the Santa Cruz River, and there's no water there. So how are we going to address that situation? This plan is supposed to look at that and be ready, so you're not struggling when the condition is in place.
And I'd kind of like to have the chief come up, and also maybe, I know it's a little out of your area, but at the same time it is. I'm talking about drought conditions. I know that your department keeps on top of that, because for, you know, any kind of fire, hazardous conditions, and does your office or your department see any possible future drought conditions at this time?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you. Just one of the things that we're looking at this year, if you see that the governor has put out actually quite a bit of information and a push for more money in fuel reduction and preparedness for wildfire. They're looking at upping that, and the concern we have this year is what we had this year was a monsoon. It was very short, but it was actually one of the highest monsoons we've had on record. I mean, we had a lot of rainfall in a very short period of time. So that's good in a way, but it's bad in a way, and what that does is it results in a large grass crop and brush crop, but then the monsoon ended early, and now it's dried out. And then now what we have is a winter that's been one of the driest winters. And so there's quite a concern for wildfire season this year. We had a very active season last year, and they're looking at predicting that this year is going to be even more active than it was last year. But as far as past, just kind of looking at a year at a time and being ready for wildfire response, we don't generally look too much at drought stuff, you know, long-term planning like that. But we're always concerned with drought when it relates to wildfire activity.
But this is one of the more recent serious drought winters that we've had.
Yes. Yes,
so
it's been a
drought
dry
conditions
winter.
will continue to be at high level by summer.
Yes, correct.
Thank you. Appreciate
yes,
that.
thank you.
I guess that puts us in a kind of a dangerous or hazardous situation where you don't have a plan for it.
Right.
So this is more about safety than anything else, and I think we need to go forward and be prepared. I don't know if anybody else wants to make any comments. Okay. I'll call for the question. All those in favor of approving this order signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No nays. Motion carried unanimously. We'll go to item K. Consideration and possible action of order 2018-03-028, an order of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, authorizing an application for a fiscal year 2018 grant from the Bureau of Reclamation, Water Smart Grant for Drought Response Program, Drought Resiliency Projects. So, again, do I have an order to approve?
So moved.
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
And we open for discussion. Again, do we need any?
Well, I guess Mr. Mayor, I guess it is what it says, Drought Response Program?
Yes.
What?
It's a follow-up, I guess, on the previous.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Genesian, this item is a grant that we're applying to do the design and identification of location for a new deeper well in the Santa Cruz River area. To be able to qualify for an application for grants for the construction of that well, you have to have documentation. I have everything designed and ready to go, and explore all the alternatives. The city, together with the USGS and the Department of Water Resources, have done some studies along the Santa Cruz River, and they have we have identified some areas that have potential for deeper water, so that's more sustainable supply of water and more reliable. Because right now on the river, our wells are really shallow. So as soon as the water table goes below that level, there's no more water that we can pull. So we get this study done and identify a location for a new well, then we can apply for a grant to pay for the construction of that well and have that well to serve us in more severe conditions on the river, because it's deeper, it's water that has been in storage there for many, many years. So that would give us more reliable supply of water. They're kind of linked, the drought plan with this well, but this is basically do the location, do the studies, do the support to apply for a grant for the construction of the well.
How deep will this well be?
Right now, we're identifying this 1,000 feet deep. Right now, the wells that we have in the river are the max of 300 feet.
And they've been able to tap into water at
yes, the wells that we have used them for many, many years, but as soon as the water table goes below that or gets close to that, the wells, they are having problems because they start pulling air and cavitating and doing all kind of things there. So
and the spot that you selected is, through study, the best spot where the water is higher, the table is a little higher.
That's the idea of this study, to identify which one is the best location based on studies that were done by the USGS, the Department of Water Resources, and ourselves, because we did a consultant that helped us identify areas in the Santa Cruz River where we have our well fields.
Good. I think that's very important to have that backup. Yes, Councilor.
This is also a very costly project, $525,000?
Yes.
And we go half and half?
Half and half.
So we need to come up with $262,000.
That's right.
$830.
Also, it's in-kind contribution.
In-kind also?
Contribution. So we're estimating that maybe $50,000-$60,000 of that would be in kind, but our time on participating.
So we need to come up with a little over $200,000.
Yes.
Cheap. It's very cheap because under drought conditions, water is worth its weight in gold. Thank you. Any other comments? Any other? Okay. Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of approving this order signify by saying aye. Aye. Seeing no nays, motion carried unanimously. And we come to L, consideration and possible action of order 2018-03-029, in order of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, approving an option and lease agreement with Vertical Bridge Development.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a second and open for discussion. And I guess this is does this have to do with like antennas or something legal, or somebody wants to give us a?
I think Mr. Kitchener was
Mr.
going to address
Kitchener's
this.
got some.
Mr. Mayor, this is a lease agreement that we're bringing forward to you with a cell phone tower up on a piece of property the city owns that we're not using by Las Americas, I believe. I believe that's where the location is.
Wade Carpenter, right?
Huh?
By Wade Carpenter?
By Wade Carpenter, Las Americas is the name of the street that's up there. And legal was the one who worked on this and negotiated this. That's the basic information I have on this, Mr. Mayor.
And I believe this is something that was negotiated before I got here.
And we're going to make a little money out of this?
Well, it seems that way.
Mr. Mayor, when I read through it, it looked like we're going to make I think $1,000 a month on
Yeah, plus we have the right to tag our water survey on their tower.
Great.
Something like that, yeah. And then I think that it automatically goes up so much. It's all
7.5%.
Yes, sir.
Well, sounds like
Sounds like a
Somebody
winner.
read
sounds like a good deal.
Sounds like a winner.
Okay. So
We have a winner.
any other comments or questions or? Okay. Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of approving this order signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Seeing no nays, motion carried unanimously. Going to M, consideration and possible action of order 2018-03-030, an order of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, approving the purchase of an electronic time and attendance system. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Second. Open for discussion. We have,
What's up?
I guess, would you like to, somebody'd like to give us a little more information?
So this is just a fancy word for a time clock, the time in attendance. It would be a biometric time clock. The purchase would be for 8 that would be located throughout City Hall, Public Works, Nogales Housing Authority, the library. And it's just it's a way to work more efficiently and then gather the data more accurately for the employees for the hours that they work and also the time when they're off. Mm-hmm. So we're looking to improve our operations. Right now, it currently takes about 5 or 6 staff members to manually. They have to gather the timesheets. They have to enter the hours that they work, review, and then supervisors approve it, and then they pass it on to payroll, and again another review is done. So it would eliminate a lot of data entry and staff time.
So it's a money saver.
Yes, because the employees will document their time worked, and then
more accountability.
Yes, and then it will automatically flow into our payroll system. So there'll be no more. And there's been errors too when people manually enter the information.
So less room for errors.
Yes.
Yes, Councilman.
Just as a question, what happens, because this has come up before, and if I remember, I think, did we not buy several years back, 5, 6 years back, some time clocks also?
Yes, some time clocks were purchased and installed at Public Works, but the full process was not completed. So the time clocks were not able to import the data into the payroll system.
They were never put into use, or they're used?
I think they are used, right, Mr. Barcenas?
Yeah, they have been in use for more than 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
But not to its potential.
Not for payroll.
Not to be able to integrate the data into payroll. Mm-hmm. And these time clocks will.
Also, at that time, if I remember correctly, there was a question about employees that go directly to do something from their homes. That instead of having to come in all the way to punch in and then go back out, they were going directly to do something from their home or whatever. How is that going to be handled?
The system does have an app, a phone app, that probably we could give access to certain individuals to allow them to be able to clock in. Obviously we wouldn't want to give it to everyone, and there would probably have to be some specifications set up, or some parameters as to where they can clock in from and everything. We don't want someone clocking in from Rio Rico and we know that they should not be in that area. Mm-hmm. So we are able.
But does the system will it recognize where they're clocking in from, or?
Yes. So there is a phone app available.
And how much is this? How much is it going to cost today?
We received a few
45.
quotes, it was not to exceed 45, but the one company that we're looking at is about 39,000.
That's cheap. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor, Dr. Felix, when you get a chance, on our procurement rules, because the procurement rules that authorizes the CEOs, the superintendent, the CEO of community college, by state has gone up to $100,000. So there's a lot of these things that you are empowered to make these decisions legally that don't need to come to the council, okay? Unless you just want to tell us about the clocks or so, but there's a lot of this item here. I'm sure it's covered by the procurement rules.
It's $35,000 a cap.
35 for the city? For the city? Oh, but city policy.
So we got all these.
Yeah, why don't you bring that city policy back to us, okay, and compare that with the state procurement rules. Okay. So we can.
Thank you for bringing it up, Mr.
Okay, so I call for the question. All those in favor of approving this signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. No nays. Motion carried unanimously. We're down to future agenda items. And close to adjourn. Yes, Councilman Barón.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of quick items here. If we could please, Dr. Felix, I'd like at our next meeting, a special meeting, I'd like to have a discussion on the Boys and Girls Club roofing. If you can look into that and see how we can help the Boys and Girls Club with their problem there with the roofing. The other item that I would like to have placed as soon as possible, Mr. Mayor, is the naming of a city attorney. I have a problem because I read the transcripts of our last meeting with the city attorney, and we named him on a month-to-month basis. So I'm concerned that if we name somebody on a month-to-month basis, that every month we have to approve the individual to be the city attorney. And it's on here that Mr. Williams also agreed to it. Please don't. Dr. Felix, you're responsible to keep us out of trouble. Please take this up with your lawyers. If we have to approve them from month to month, then when the mayor adjourns this meeting, Mr. Williams is no longer the city attorney until we come back here to a meeting to approve him for another 30 days as the city attorney. So we don't want him to be making some decisions and have legal repercussions for that. So please make sure or get an opinion from the trust attorney or from the county attorney. But please keep us out of trouble on this one. And remember, you are the person responsible to carry out the directives of the mayor and council. Also, the charter changes. We're getting close to the legal time for the charter changes. So we need to talk about that so nothing gets biased, because there's some good changes that we propose there. And also, Mayor, you've brought up this, the $50,000 for the amphitheater that you went and got from the...
Yes, from Tohono.
Tohono O'odham. And we
also, give credit to Councilman Maldonado, because he was with us, and of course the doctor helped us also on that.
Good. But Mayor, we haven't done anything. We've been at this. We need to do something about this amphitheater. It looked like a good project, and it's kind of fell by the sides. So can we get that back in? So if we're going to do it, we can talk about it on this budget session.
Yes, Councilman Barona, we have a consultant that we've hired to do a master plan for the Share Park, including the amphitheater. Okay. And we talked to Councilman Tanishian about the possibilities of extending the park. So if you don't look at it as a whole, not just the amphitheater. And so we expect the results back, Marcelo, do you have any timetable?
We've got a proposal to design conceptual plan of what this is going to look like. We just need to move forward on that. I think the actual cost of what the plan looks like will be available by
Well, we get it by the budget time. I think that, but we need to do something. I don't want you guys put in this effort to go get this money to bring it down, and then we're just letting it go. Right. That's not going to look good if we want more money from them again.
Definitely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Petty, Dr. Petty. Thank you for clearing that up, and we'll definitely be on top of that. I guess we're down to a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, second. And all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Carried. Meeting adjourned.